Just hours ago, on March 17, 2026, Israel announced it had taken out Ali Larijani, the man who had quietly become Iran's de facto leader after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed last month. And Iran just confirmed it. The Supreme National Security Council released a statement calling him a martyr who finally reached his long-cherished wish after a lifetime of service. This is huge. Larijani wasn't just another official. He was the guy steering Iran's response to the war with Israel and the United States, the one bridging the military, the clerics, and the politicians. If you're trying to make sense of what's happening in the Middle East right now and why the strike feels like a turning point, stay with me. Let's start with the news that's shaking everyone today. Overnight, Israeli airstrikes hit Tehran, and according to Israel's defense minister, they eliminated Larijani along with the commander of the Basij paramilitary force, Gholam Reza Soleimani. Iran didn't deny it. Instead, state media confirmed both deaths within hours, framing Larijani as a hero who died on the service front. Just days earlier, on Friday, he was out in the streets of Tehran marching in the Al-Quds Day parade alongside President Masoud Pezeshkian, showing public defiance even as bombs were falling. On Monday, he posted on social media urging Muslim countries to speak up and warning that Iran would keep fighting. Then, boom, gone in a precision strike. Israel says this was part of hitting Iran's missile capabilities and strategic leadership. For the regime, it's the biggest loss since Khamenei himself was assassinated on the very first day of this war back on February 28th. But here's what makes this even more shocking. Larijani had only just returned to the absolute center of power a few months ago. Why did he come back? That's the question everyone's asking, and it explains why his death hits so hard. Back in August 2025, President Pezeshkian surprised a lot of people by reappointing him as Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. This was the same powerful job Larijani had held way back in 2005 and 2007, before he clashed with hardliner President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad over nuclear talks and stepped down. For almost 2 decades after that, he stayed influential as Speaker of Parliament for 12 straight years, but he was never quite at the very top again. In fact, the Guardian Council blocked him from running for president in both 2021 and 2024, calling it non-transparent and clearing the field for others. A lot of analysts thought his political career was winding down. Then came the appointment nobody saw coming. The timing tells the story. Iran had just gone through a short but brutal air war with Israel in June 2025, exposing huge gaps in defense and intelligence. The country was facing internal pressure, economic pain from sanctions, and debates between hardliners who wanted pure confrontation and moderates who hoped for some flexibility. Pezeshkian, seen as more reform-minded, picked Larijani precisely because he was the ultimate bridge. He had deep roots in the Revolutionary Guards from the Iran-Iraq War days, yet he was also the pragmatic voice who helped push through the 2015 nuclear deal known as the JCPOA. He negotiated directly with Europe back then and always argued that Iran could be tough without isolating itself completely. His family connections helped too. The Larijanis are basically Iran's political dynasty. His father was a famous religious scholar exiled to Iraq, where Ali was born on June 3, 1958. His brothers ran the judiciary and other key posts. And get this, the man wasn't just a politician. He was a real philosopher. He earned a bachelor's in math and computer science from Iran's top university, then got his PhD in Western philosophy with a thesis on Immanuel Kant. He even wrote books about Kant and thinkers like David Lewis. Imagine that, a former Revolutionary Guards officer who could quote Kant while running nuclear talks. That's why so many people called him the calm, calculating face of the regime. He supported the nuclear deal when hardliners hated it, but he also cracked down hard on protests when the system needed it. After Khamenei died in February, Larijani stepped into an even bigger role. With a 3-man transitional council in place, he became the guy calling the shots on security and foreign policy. He gave fiery speeches vowing Iran would teach the US and Israel an unforgettable lesson. He warned that any American troops entering Iran would be captured or killed. He canceled cooperation with the IAEA and rejected new talks, saying the military option was off the table, but negotiations had to respect Iran's strength. That's the background that made his comeback so strategic. He wasn't brought back because the regime suddenly turned soft. He was brought back to steady the ship during the toughest security crisis since the 1980s war with Iraq. His experience negotiating with the West, his ties to Russia and China, and his ability to balance ideology with realpolitik made him the perfect choice when missiles were flying and internal unity was shaky. For a few intense weeks after Khamenei's death, Larijani was essentially running the show, even if the official title stayed with the council. That's why today's confirmation feels like such a direct hit on the heart of the regime. Israel didn't just remove a security chief. They removed the one person many analysts believed could keep Iran from spiraling into total chaos or, depending on your view, the one keeping the hardline strategy on track. Now think about the last few days leading up to this. Larijani had been everywhere, trying to project strength. He marched publicly in Tehran on Friday, right in the middle of ongoing strikes. He used social media to call out Muslim countries for staying silent, writing that if you ignore a Muslim's cry, you're not really Muslim. He kept up indirect talks through Oman right until the end, accusing Israel of sabotaging diplomacy. The message was always the same: Iran is hurt but not broken, and it will respond on its own terms. Then the overnight operation changed everything. Along with Soleimani, reports say Larijani's son and bodyguards were also hit. The regime is already calling it martyrdom, which in Iranian politics often rallies people around the flag. But losing someone this senior, right after the supreme leader, leaves a real vacuum. Who steps up now? Will this make Iran more aggressive in retaliation, or will it open a tiny door for de-escalation? Experts are already saying it's a psychological blow that could weaken the regime's grip or, conversely, push hardliners to double down. This whole saga shows how quickly things can shift in Iran. One day Larijani is the disqualified candidate sitting on the sidelines. Next he's back at the center of national security because the country needs his unique mix of philosophy, military background, and political savvy. And now, in a single strike, that chapter ends. His death doesn't just change the battlefield today. It could reshape how Iran responds for weeks and months ahead, especially with the US and Israel pressing their advantage. What do you think this means for the war? Will Iran's retaliation be bigger, or does this open space for talks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your takes. If this video helped you understand why Larijani's story matters, share it with a friend who's following the Middle East news. It really helps get these important updates to more people. Thanks for watching all the way through. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one with more on what's unfolding next.